Hey there, it's John from Heroes and Legends, and today I have a vintage cube draft for you. So I haven't done a draft in a while, at least I haven't posted one. I had enough problems misclicking and trying to do the voiceover at the same time, so I actually recorded this draft and am doing the voiceover later. And we'll see how this goes. Let me know in the comments below if you like that. So anyway, here's pack one. A couple things here that stand out. I mean, Grim Monolith is a great pick. Sidisi's not bad. I probably want to first pick that. Brain Freeze is great if you want to try to go into Storm, but I really wouldn't recommend that. It's a very, very specific archetype. You need to get all the right cards for it. The other card I have my eye on here is Oblivion Ring, just because white is so good in the cube. And here's what's interesting. Over the last year, they made a lot of big changes to the cube. It used to be a big combo-driven cube. Ramp was great. Grim Monolith used to be a better card. So I go with Oblivion Ring here, just because white's very powerful, and White Weenie is a really good deck in this format. And even if I don't get that deck, this is great removal. It can take care of Planeswalkers and stuff like that. So I go with Oblivion Ring over the Grim Monolith here. Preference, I think. You can definitely argue Grim Monolith, one of the most powerful cards in here. This pack I'm going with Strip Mine. As you can see, there's not a whole lot here. Snapcaster is good, but it's a little early to kind of speculate on whether I'm going to have a lot of instants and sorceries. So this pack has Dark Petition. Tutors are always fantastic. You got more ramp with Ancient Tomb. You have more version of ramp with Nixos. And if you want to go into like Boros, Siege Gang Commander is very good. There's also Elesh Norn. I started off in white, so I'm looking at Elesh Norn thinking maybe I can get a little bit of ramp to make this a better card. It'd be great in a white weenie deck. So now you have a few choices. Stoneforge Mystic is cheap, and if you can just get a sword, there's a lot of swords in this format, it becomes very good very quick. Revel Arc's also very good if you want to stay in that white weenie strategy. I like things like the temples because I do like the fact that they give you the ability to get a little deeper in your deck, but I'm going with Stoneforge Mystic in this case. So far we have a solid foundation, and my plan here now is if I cut white really hard, I'm hoping to be rewarded in the next subsequent packs, especially pack 3. Hopefully get a lot of the cards I want to build this deck. And like I said, this is a very interesting change. I probably would not approach this particular cube a year ago, this sort of strategy, but I learned over the past year that when you don't have things like really strong synergies with things like Time Vaults, Voltaic Key, and that sort of stuff, you have to go a little more fair. Now, speaking of fair, or unfair in this case, here's Land Tax. I love Land Tax. Perfect for this deck. A lot of people underestimate how powerful this card is. If you played with it back in the old days, basically if your opponent gets ahead on lands, you get to pull 3 lands out of your library every single turn, 3 planes anyway, but it thins your deck. Even if you just pitch them to your graveyard because you have more than 7 cards in your hand, it's still good, and you never have to worry about missing a land drop. And if an opponent's smart, they'll play around it and not let you get ahead on lands, but that also slows them down. So for 1 white, yeah, definitely that is the pick here, no doubt at all in my mind. Windmill Slam. It's funny how late you can get land tax sometimes, and it just depends if you have somebody in the cube that knows how good it is or not. Okay, so we got a few things here. Hangerback Walker is always good. Figure of Destiny catches my eye, but I'm not in red yet, and I don't really know at this point if I'm going to be mono white or if I'm going to be another color. So it's not super exciting. It might wheel, even though it's a very good card. Hangerback Walker is catching my eye here, and again, since I'm not in a second color, the dual lands wouldn't be a bad idea to pull, but I'm really not sure what direction I'm going in at this point. But Hangerback's a good card. It deals with board sweeps. It's a good card if you're playing against somebody with a Damnation, Wrath of God. It gives you a little bit of advantage there. So far I like where we're going. I'm going to continue to cut white pretty hard is the plan. And we got a couple of cards though that are question marks. I mean, Stoneforge isn't going to be very good if we don't get some good equipment. We have Elesh Norn, not going to be very good if we don't get some ramp to propel to that point in the game. So those are still possibly not played. Two good cards here, Unexpectedly Absent and Spectral Procession, both where we want to be exactly. These are great cards. Not a lot of people, I think, look for Unexpectedly Absent, but it's very good. I go with the Spectral Procession here just because you get the 3 flyers for 3 white. At this point, I know I'm going to be at least pretty heavy white, it feels like. So I'm going to speculate a little bit that I'm going to be able to cast this on turn 3 at least a good portion of the time. So that's what I go with. Unexpectedly Absent, though, fantastic card as well in this type of deck. It just is really good tempo removal that is going to take care of most of your issues that could pop up in this cube. All right, and we have Soulblade Paladin jumps out at me right away. Beast Within does take care of issues, but sometimes that 3/3 creature gets in the way and gets a little annoying. Mental Misstep's good too, but I'm going to go with the Paladin here. It just kind of goes along with what we've been doing. Works well even with Spectral Procession, Stoneforge Mystic, if we can find some equipment. It can be very good in those cases, even Hangerback Walker. Okay, so I see Porcelain Legionnaire. Sunpetal Grove's not horrible either. Sidisi's great, but it's double black, and at this point, I'm just so heavy white. I don't think Sidisi should have gone this late, quite honestly. I know he costs 5 and double black, so you have to kind of be in that deck. And granted, I passed him twice, but I do feel like that card shouldn't still be here. It's a tutor. It's a demonic tutor, basically. It just costs a little more. And maybe you get a creature out of it as well. Maybe you exploit Sidisi, but still you're able to look for what you need when you need it. In this format is incredible. Yeah, so having said that, I went with the white card, of course. Got Porcelain Legionnaire. A good 3-drop. Now I got Exalted Angel and I got Sun Titan here. If I wanted to go into green, Tribalder is very good. I take the Sun Titan. Again, I'm hoping to get a little bit of ramp, but even if I don't, 6 is reasonable in this cube, believe it or not. Casting a 6-drop is very possible, and you get a lot of value from Sun Titan. Dark Petition, still good. I'm starting to think about ramp. Maybe I am like White Devotion, so I'm going to pick up Nykthos here. Maybe I play it, maybe I don't at this point, but if I have enough small white creatures, especially double white and stuff like that, this becomes a lot better. Revelark really goes well with what we're doing. Sylvan Library, awesome card. That would be my next pick if there wasn't a card that fit so well into what I'm building right now, synergy-wise. Obviously, Sylvan Library, much more powerful on its own than Revelark, but you got to look at what you're building at the time. Would I fault someone to going into green at that point? No, definitely not. It's just such a good card. Lightning Helix. I'm going to take this from my sideboard. If we end up splashing a little bit of red, that becomes good. Here, well, I'll just take the Domri here. And, oh, look at that. Unexpectedly Absent Wield. Again, people just don't appreciate how good that card is. And we cut white pretty hard, so maybe we just got rewarded for that. So far, I'm very happy with where we're at in Pack 1. Pack 2 gives us a Time Walk, so maybe we are going to start going into blue. Here's what's tough. You also have a Mirran Crusader, which would be perfect for our deck. Do you take the Mirran Crusader over the Time Walk? And that's what I kind of struggled with here for a few moments, passing a very powerful card. The thing is, Time Walk, if we do splash blue, is very, very good in our deck as well, because it could give us a second attack phase, which could be enough to put somebody away if we're going with heavy white weenie creatures. So it becomes very good, even though Mirran Crusader is also awesome. I'm kind of hoping that we cut white hard enough already that we get the Mirran Crusader back. But the Time Walk, you can't pass it, I guess. Crucible of Worlds is also a really cool pickup and combos very well their Strip Mine, and I doubt that will wheel, but it is what it is. Mox Pearl shows up here, and there's also some good things that could wheel. Spirit of Labyrinth is decent. Mana Confluence could be good if we're trying to splash a second color. There's some good cards in this pack, but obviously we're going to take the on-color Mox. That's just insane for our deck and for what we're going to do, and it helps with the ramp along with land tax. Can maybe get us Hellish Norn, definitely get us a Sun Titan pretty easily, help us build that Hangerback Walker. So very happy with the first 2 picks here as we pick up 2 pieces of power in the first 2 picks of this pack. So we're thinking about now too if there's any dual lands out there, white and blue, which sometimes are hard to get. A lot of people will splash blue or splash white. They're very good splashable colors because of white's removal and because of blue's just power. Oh, and look at this. Mox Emerald shows up. So 3 pieces of power in 3 packs. If for some reason I wasn't going to take the Emerald, Mother of Runes is a very good card in this deck. Geist of St. Traff could also be very good, but obviously you got to take the Mox Emerald here. It's perfect. Now, granted, we're not playing green. It does open that up as a possibility, but it just doesn't matter. Channel's always powerful. There's a sword that would go great with our Stoneforge Mystic, but there's also Council's Judgment, which is perfect removal for our deck. So I think that's the pick here. I'm hoping to pick up another sword. There's all the swords are in this cube, I believe, so at this point I'm thinking, well, maybe in pack 3 we'll get a sword. I really don't think this sword will wheel, but there you go. Now you have some interesting things. I mean, if you want to go black, I always liked Hypnotic Spectre. It's cheap and can do some damage. Necropotence can be good, but that's obviously much too heavy black. Memory Jar is what I'm looking at here. This card is another card. People underestimate how powerful this is. This card is nuts. Basically letting you draw a whole new hand. And if you're playing White Weenie, I might be able to plop down 2 or 3 creatures or some cheap spells and in one turn with a Memory Jar activation. Memory Jar is just bonkers in this deck. But again, don't feel like that should have gone as late as it did. That's just such a good card. So at this point, I'm very happy with where we're at for sure. Things are going our way. Seems like we cut white hard enough. There is another white drafter out there. I mean, you can see that. There's some cards we're not seeing, but it might be people more splashing white. Here I'm looking at Parallax Wave, something that can buy us a lot of tempo. Student of Warfare is also a very good card that I'm considering, but I don't really like the level up, even though this is a very economical level up card and would work perfectly in our deck. I just kind of end up going with the Parallax Wave, hoping to wheel the Student, but yeah, we don't have anything in our 4-drop, which is another consideration. Fiend Hunter is great for our deck. Now, Murderous Cut's good if we want to try to splash some black, but Fiend Hunter also gets the job done. There's a Lightning Bolt. Blade Splicer I'm not super excited about. It's okay. It's probably going to be my pick here just because there isn't really much else. You can always take the Wooded Foothills because it's a fetch land, but I take that. Angel of Serenity is too expensive, but look what wheels that Marine Crusader, and I just kind of windmill slam that. Spirit of Labyrinth also wheels, and I take a moment. You want to consider, make sure you don't have any card draw yourself, but we don't. So that's going to be actually very good in our deck. Now I'm looking at Looter. The Looter is just the best card there. Goes along with, again, if we can splash a little blue. Now we haven't seen any Azorius dual lands come by, so there's probably somebody drafting like a blue, maybe trying to get the white for like Source to Plowshares, Mother of Runes, Path to Exile, those type of cards, because we have not seen any of those show up. Happy to have the Parallax Wave though at this point. That's going to be good. Not a whole lot. Rashad Import is really good. Flicker Wisp is fine in our deck. So depends on the deck you play against, but Rashad Import can certainly do some work. Channel's still there. Channel I don't think should go this late, although it's not as good in this cube as it used to be. But I do take the Port. Port's a great card, and you can just do a lot of crazy shenanigans with it to keep your opponent back on lands. Maybe not as great in this cube as other formats because there's so many artifact activations for mana. I take the Hypnotic Spectre, throw it in the sideboard, but at this point 2 black seems pretty unrealistic. Fire Blast just being as good as it is, I'm just going to take that off the board. Especially good against us. Can kill pretty much anything we have at this point. And we get an Alicia. I'm probably not going to play. Last few cards have been passed out. A lot of red and green, so I don't know if that tells us anything, if they're open or or not. But I mean, very happy now going into pack 3 as to where we are. Alright, so here's pack 3 now. You gotta take a look at this, and nothing's jumping out. It's like, oh wow, that's really awesome for us. There's some good blue creatures here with Cloudskate and Inkwell Leviathan. I mean, here's Leonin Relic Warder is a fine sideboard card. You really don't want to first pick this thing though, but there's really nothing here for us. I mean, Fire and Ice is fine. Brago is okay. It doesn't really do anything in our deck though, but it is a flying creature, and I don't know, it probably would have wheeled, but really, I don't know. This is just a really kind of soft pack for us, and just for the colors we're in and what we're trying to do. So I end up taking Brago here. It's fine. I'm not super excited about it in this particular deck, but it's a very good card in other circumstances. Banishing Priest, Elspeth jump out at me. Mox Diamond is definitely a consideration to continue to push out creatures faster. Wasteland, which is also very, very good. So there's a lot of places we could go here. I am a little concerned about our removal, so I go with Banisher Priest. There's a lot of very powerful creatures in this cube, and something like Banisher Priest can deal with something that gets show and telled out and stuff like that. So I go with Banisher Priest here. It goes well with our Fiend Hunter and our Oblivion Ring. Now I got a few things. You got a Sundering Titan, but we don't really have the ramp for that. Wormcoil Engine is just a great card and only costs 6, which is reasonable. Force of Will, don't really have enough blue to probably make that work. Cloud Goat Ranger is very good as well, but I don't love it as much in this cube. It's just a little pricey, I think, for what it does in this format, but it is a very good card. Mana Leak's also a possibility if we want to splash that blue, but again, we're getting pretty late now to pack 3 and just haven't had any way to fix for blue. And this deck's all about efficiency. We don't want to compromise that efficiency to splash a second color if we are just basically going with islands and plains. Here we got Bramaz. We have Journey to Nowhere. Those are two that I have my eye on right away. Journey to Nowhere again fulfills the being able to handle creatures that come out. Bramaz is very good in our deck as a 3-drop. So I go along with Journey to Nowhere here. Just again, I want to make sure we have a lot of removal. At this point, I'm thinking, wow, I didn't really get anything for that Stoneforge Mystic, and I don't know. I'm really thinking I might just dump the white, even though we have time, or the blue, even though I have Time Walk. Just don't have a good way to cast those and not slow down my deck that I feel comfortable with, especially considering I have a lot of 3-drops that cost 2 white, and I really don't want to stumble at the 3-drop spot. If things go well, we should be able to play a lot of those on turn 2 in most cases, and that's better than even splashing for Time Walk, I think. So I'm starting to think about some of my cuts. Wrath of God is here. I mean, that's great. Hallowed Spirit Keepers, fine. Actually not bad in our deck, but can't pass Wrath of God. Sower of Temptation, very powerful card. Surprised that's going that late, especially a powerful blue card like that, but obviously double blue, it doesn't look like we'll probably be playing any of our blue. Wrath of God is definitely the pick there. Also helps us with our 4-drop spot, which is still pretty light, especially if we end up not playing Brago, which is very possible at this point. Alright, so here's the next pack. Mana Tithe jumps out at me. War Priest of Thrun is also a very good sideboard card. And as good as Mana Tithe is, I don't know if I want to hold up mana in this deck. This isn't necessarily a counterspell deck and try to control the game. This is just, we want to be aggressive. But I still take the Mana Tithe here. It's just a better card. Don't know if I'm going to play it at this point. But it's there. It might be a good sideboard card to bring in against certain decks, but people rarely play around it. You'll find that a lot of people will maybe think of Daze and Force Spike, but not really think of Mana Tithe. And here's the perfect card for our deck, Armageddon. You want to kind of think about what we're trying to do here for a moment. Supreme Verdict's great too if we thought we'd be able to splash the blue, but we already have Wrath of God. Armageddon, if I can just quickly accelerate a couple small creatures out and get rid of all the land on the board, that can win you a game easily. So that's a great pickup for us. And it's interesting, the other Armageddon, Ravages of War, we never saw that. So there's somebody out there drafting. I mean, they're taking the cards like Mother of Runes and Ravages of War is being taken, and Swords of Plowshares, Path to Exile. So someone's dabbling in white at least. but I'm very happy with our deck regardless. So I see a Boris Reckoner here and an Enlightened Tutor. Don't have a whole lot of stuff to get with Enlightened Tutor. I mean, maybe Memory Jar or Wormcoil Engine. So there's a couple okay targets, but they're a little bit higher on the curve. Boris Reckoner, another 3-drop. We seem to be real strong white, so I really like that as another just really aggressive, quick creature. You give this thing first strike, and it's also hard to deal with direct damage. So yeah, it just seems like a perfect fit. We have a ton of the great 3-drops in our deck. We're a little light, probably in the 2, 4, and 5 drop spots, but it's okay. And then yeah, this wheels good sideboard cards. I'm happy to have this. Not a whole lot for us here. Dromoka's Command would be okay. I mean, we do have the green Mox, but I'm just going to take the dual land. Maybe I'd have to side in Lightning Helix at some point. Thinking along those lines, just pull the Incinerate. And Brahma's wheels for us. That's awesome. So we'll take that. Another great 3-drop. And then we get this as well. This is fine again in our deck. But we do have a lot of 3-drops, so for right now I just kind of throw it in the sideboard. Pick up Brimstone Volley. I mean, again, if I need to transform my deck into one that can do more direct damage, I have the ability to do that now, so that's fine. And then we get a last pick, Mishra's Factory. Not really what we want for this particular deck, but it's fine. Alright, so that's the draft, and as far as cuts go, we do have some cuts to make here. And I'm going to take out the blue cards. Already taken out the blue cards, and go mono white is the plan here. And I'm gonna try to go cheap too, so you'll see here in a moment. I'm gonna have to consider, do I want to run Elish Norn and like things like Nithos and try to ramp? Not really. I think Nixthos I always say that wrong. Nixthos is good in a lot of great decks, but this doesn't feel like a super strong devotion deck. I feel like I'm just trying to get a couple creatures out and then maybe Wrath lands and just get some advantage that way, as opposed to going for a long game. So because of that, I am going to think about taking Elish Norn out and taking out the Shrine of Nyx. I have a lot of 3-drops, which, yeah, they're good though. But you look back at things like I already removed our Stoneforge Mystic because I never did end up picking up any equipment to go along with it. So yeah, that's fine. And I'm looking at these if there's any I want to cut, but they are good. I mean, this is kind of the meat and potatoes of our deck there. So we're just going to have a lot of 3-drops, and that's fine. And we don't have a lot of 4-drops, so we'll be playing more 3-drops on turn 4. But these are really good 3-drops, so I'm okay with that. We're going to keep both our Moxes, of course. That's pretty much a no-brainer. So making the last couple of cuts is pretty hard here. I mean, I'm hanging on to Elish Norn as long as I can, but I think I'm slowly coming to the realization that that's probably not the best thing for our particular deck. It's powerful if it can hit the board, but you don't want to compromise your strategy to get this to hit the board. So I think that will be probably my next thing to go here. You'll see as I'm kind of thinking through everything. I'm looking again at these 3-drops. Porcelain Legionnaire isn't super exciting, but that can actually come down perhaps on turn 1 and under the right circumstances. Actually, any of these could come down turn 1, other than maybe Boris Reckoner. But still, pretty good chance if you draw that you'll be getting it out real fast, and it could do a lot of work for you. You don't want to really take that out. Yeah, so yeah, I'm thinking about Elish Norn here, just how difficult it is to cast at 7. I figure I can remove that, and if that is the case, we'll be a lot more streamlined. Parallax Wave, I don't want to take out a Wrath of God, even though I am a very creature-heavy deck. I do have things like Wormcoil Engine and Hangerback Walker that I can get some advantage off a board sweep, but I also want to be prepared in case my opponent plays something crazy quickly, like a show and tell deck or something. I have tons of removal, and that's the thing I was mentioning at the beginning. Last year, over a year ago, when you played the Vintage Cube on Magic Online, it was all about combos. It was all about doing unfair things with spells. It's much more creature and removal based now. So that has changed quite a bit. I'm thinking about, I don't know if I'll have tons of targets for Rebel Arc. However, it's still a good flying creature. I don't have a lot of creatures with evasion necessarily. I have Spectral Procession, Rebel Arc. Those are flyers. Everything else, I'm just trying to jam in, basically. Double Strike helps in that situation with things like Mirran Crusader and the protection from a couple different colors, but I don't know if I really want to get rid of Rebel Arc at this point. I do have 2 Moxes too. I do need to take that into consideration. 1 on color, so I think I'm pretty well there. Just going mono white, 14 lands, 14 planes, the Rashad import, and I'm pretty happy with that.